And this is also from the 30s.
My goodness.
And this one's supposed to be like this. And then you can wear it a variety of ways. You can wear it like this. I like to wear my hats off to the side like this. I got my reputation because I was a slut. Sex was nothing to me. It was something to do. It was a way to, get what you wanted. If it were attention, good or bad, if it were later on gas in your car, if it were weed in your pipe, ride to the beach, whatever. It was 5 minutes out of my day. It started because I'd been having sex since I was a little kid, unbeknownst to me, from someone in my family. And I figured out really early that if I was going to have to do that anyways, I might as well do it and get something for it. And I figured out, obviously, early on that this is what men wanted. And this is what people did. And quid pro quo, this is how you got something, be it out of the situation I were in, or more money, or whatever. That's how it started. I have no shame about it. Not one fucking ounce of shame. The only shame I have is that I fell into being this type of person because of how I grew up. That's my only smidgen of shame. And again, it's not my fault, what happened to me and how I turned out and whatever else, you know, so. Everyone was screwing, but I was the only one that admitted it.
Yeah, I remember this girl in high school. Oh my God, she was labeled a slut.
That's so gross. It makes me sick.
It begins with a rumor and blossoms into a legend. Maybe she was the new transfer student, or the girl with the pretty hair, or the one who hung out with the guys. But now she's someone else entirely, and whoever she once was is replaced by this myth.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I heard a rumor about a girl that at a party slept with 3 guys at the same time, and they were all brothers.
Apparently there was this girl who did it on a bedpost.
I had heard about some girl who did the football team at another school, the entire team.
There's a girl who's about to turn 17, and the rumor was that her goal was 17 guys by her 17th birthday.
There was a rumor in my junior high that one of my classmates was pregnant, and she was like 13, so she was considered to be the class slut.
There were definitely girls I interviewed who were promiscuous, and there were girls I interviewed who were virgins. The one thing they all had in common was that they'd never done exactly what everybody said they did, you know? So that the stories were lived separately from the sexual realities of these girls' lives. The rumors were very, very similar across time and across geography, so that I talked to like a 14-year-old girl and a 50-year-old woman who had both been the object of like the exact same rumor. She gives blowjobs for cigarettes was the rumor. This whole football team thing. Well, by like the 5th interview, we were like, has this ever happened except in a porno movie? Because all of them were saying, I didn't do it. There's no privacy and there's no control over how you're identified at all. Because it's not just like a social ostracism, like you're a freak, it's sexual, so it's about your body, it's about what you were doing that's wrong with your body.
It was just basically a bunch of name calling, and a lot of people stopped hanging out with me. And after like I lost a few friends, I just sheltered into myself and didn't talk to many people.
She can't really be part of a crowd because girls are afraid they'd be sluts by association, so she has to be alone. Because if you're with her, you could be one too.
There was one rumor that I gave some guy head at like 4:30 in the afternoon in Queen Street outside of a corner store, which is just, it's like him sitting on a bench like this in the middle of the street. It's just ridiculous. That was probably the wildest rumor.
Boys used to come and knock at my door that I'd never seen in my life before and ask me to go for a ride. Of course, I didn't go, but after a while, I began to realize there was something fishy going on.
They were calling me fast. That was the word, fast. I was known as the fast girl. And when I got to be about a preteen, about 12, 11-ish, totally by the time I was 13. Mothers were keeping their daughters away from me because I was a fast girl who didn't have a mother, therefore had no supervision.
When a girl is called a slut, it can affect her in different ways. The way it affected me personally is that I became really over-involved in my studies.
I would go home crying, like my locker was covered in the word slut. I think I just tried to make it through, you know? Like I just tried to, because you gotta, that's the toughest thing about school, you gotta go every day. You can't really get out of it. And so I just have to keep going back to school and keep smiling and hope that by the end of the day I could just get away fast enough to not get my ass kicked again.
And I always felt I missed a lot because of being ostracized. Like, those could have been friends of mine, but they weren't.
Some girls become very sexually active. They may not have been sexually active before they were called a slut, but in response to being thought of as sexually active, they kind of go overboard.
I was clearly staying out all night. I was doing what I wanted. I was coming over to friends' homes and having sex with their brothers, having sex with their brothers' friends, flirting with their fathers, just being really inappropriate, but not realizing it because even though you're sexualized at an early age, it doesn't mean you're mentally ready for what goes with it. So I was behaving in a way that, looking back as a 45-year-old woman, I see was clearly a scream for help. And nobody ever helped me.
I had no idea that I was raped when I was young. Like, to me, it was just I was pressured, and I didn't understand what date rape was. And when people explained it to me, I was kind of like, well, that's silly. Like, I think I just lost the rest, like what was left of my self-esteem, and just didn't think I was worth anything more than that, because it got to a point where that was all, like, that's what I expected from everyone that I knew and everyone that I met, was that they were going to look at me as in a certain way.
Probably the most disturbing thing about it was that I didn't feel I could talk to anybody. I didn't feel safe. I'm amazed that nobody picked up on it, my school teachers, my counselor, whatever.
I literally cried, I mean, tears coming down my cheeks, in school, in class, and yet not a single teacher or administrator gave me a helping hand or tried to have any understanding of what was going on. In fact, the opposite occurred. One faculty member pulled me into her office and told me that my crying was disruptive to the other students and disruptive to the teachers, and that I had to stop, otherwise I was going to be forced out of the school.
It made it very hard to be in school, like to be present, to think, to learn. I ended up dropping out of school. I hated school. I hated it.
I dropped out of school? Yeah, that's how it stopped.
I had nothing to lose. I'd go up and punch him in the face because I had nothing to lose. I had, you know, really no parents or whatever, and you know what I mean? When you don't have any fear of repercussions, what's the fear of going up and knocking someone out? None.
I literally fought back and used violence. One guy just called me a slut one day. I let him walk ahead of me, and I decided to punch him in the lower spine. Someone calls me a slut, I'll tell them to screw off.
We think of high school and adolescence as a time when the self is forming. That's the point where you're becoming who you are and you're figuring out where you fit in and all that stuff. So how does that happen when your identity belongs to the crowd? When your identity does not belong to you at any level? There's no door you can close beyond which they are not imagining what's going on. None of the girls deserve to be ostracized for whatever they want to do with a guy, for one thing.
She got totally trashed. Thought she's such a hoe. It's totally true.
Often I would get the question, well, the women want this, or they bring this on themselves, don't they? Maybe she does bring it on herself. I mean, yeah, maybe some of these girls I talked to were exhibitionists, but then why did they go from sort of reveling in their selves and their exhibitionism to being punished?
She's such a slut. I mean, she'd do it with anyone.
Why do we want it so much? Why do we bring it on? You know, why do the people who are outside of
All
her
those football guys.
want to create her?
Oh my God, you're not going to believe what just happened.
It's like a dream the crowd is having about the girl.
I enjoy being a slut.
We have so many words in the English language to describe a girl who is considered sexually casual, you know, who's considered loose. I mean, there's slut, bitch, hoe, tramp, bimbo, harlot. I mean, we could go on and on and on. Now, what do we have for a male who is sexually active or considered to be very sexually active? We don't have any negative words. They're all positive words like stud or the man. And it really points to the fact that we have this sexual double standard. You know, boys will be boys, but girls will be sluts.
The biggest drawback of being a slut and being a porn star is that it's hard to have real strong relationships sometimes. And it's nice to have that in your life, an emotional relationship. The thing is, parents raise their boy, and you know this is true. You know, come on, son, go get him. Make your dad proud. Look, honey, look all the girls chasing Junior. Isn't that exciting? Then they get the daughter. Don't you dare. You wait till the guy gets to know you. You're married, don't you dare. You never see a father and mother go, look at the boys chasing Mary. It's a whole different ballgame, you see? That double standard, that creates a double standard, and it goes on from generation to generation. And it is worldwide. I've been all over the world. It's not any different elsewhere. In fact, it's probably a lot better off here. Women are a little more independent in America, but around the world, double standard holds strong. And it's a shame because that's why men can be sluts and smile about it, or do porn and brag to everybody. And women, of course, have to be a little uncomfortable.
There are guys in my school who are actually extremely promiscuous. If a girl does it, then why should it be any different if a guy does it? Why should they get the praise when the girl gets the slander?
Don't talk about the fact that you had sex. You read magazine articles. They're telling these young girls, don't tell boys how many, you know, boys you've slept with. No one wants to hear it. You know, keep the number under 10. And I mean, this is all, you know, get a fact checker, man. It's out there. This is what is drummed into women's heads. You know, don't fess up. You know, be ashamed.
I certainly get more letters from girls who are worried about people's attitudes towards and opinions about the level of sexual activity they engage in than boys. Boys never get letters from boys who are worried that they're having too much sex or too many partners, or what their reputation is. Never comes up with guys.
Like, they can talk about how horny they are, one-night stands that they've had, and everyone cheers them on, but a woman does it. It's like, we're totally looked down upon, like as if we can't have fun, or as if we don't have sexual needs.
And the culture is so hypocritical. We're selling thongs for 10-year-old girls and then screaming and yelling about young people becoming sexually active or being so sexualized. You know, the culture expresses like what masses of people want, even if they can't have it. And I think that's a cultural expression of it. It's also a way of communicating to young women that they're going to be objects all their lives, or their most important role is to be an object. You know, it's deeply hypocritical of the culture to sort of elevate the body of the adolescent as the sexual ideal and then terrorize young people for being sex objects, or people regarding younger people as sex objects.
Look at the way the kids dress, blah, 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 they're asking for it. You're asking to be desired, and therefore you're asking to be destroyed.
You know, the paranoia about sluts, the paranoia about underage sexual activity is all about this sort of cultural guilt. We have made youth and young people's bodies central to, you know, our sexual lives, our sexual subconscious lives, and in the marketing of non-sexual products through the sex appeal of young people, and then, you know, wanting to, you know, distance ourselves from the consequences of that.
To say that we're living in a time where girls are more sexualized is true, but there's still the one girl who is supposed to have done that. There's still going to be one girl chosen who's gone too far. Maybe 15 or 20 years ago, it could have been a girl dressed a certain way, and you would say, that's her. I think now that would be pretty hard. And it's so much about not really knowing what sex is, and so needing a story to tell about sex, and needing to tell almost like a monster, you know, make a tale of a monster of sex, so that, you know, she's there sort of warning you beyond the place beyond which you shouldn't go, just like, you know, the monsters in myths.
People just have to know that kids are having sex or they're thinking about it.